Welcome to Satsang and meditation tonight. Welcome to all the friends who join us on Facebook Live tonight. Oh, they can't hear me. So again, welcome everyone who is joining us on Facebook Live in different countries around the planet. It's always beautiful to connect beyond the form, beyond time and space. Recently I had an online course with Japan, with people who have done a lot of work with me. So we are kind of we have regular reunions with question and answers, and one of the things that came up very, very strongly, which somehow still resonates with me, if we look at the world situation and the COVID situation and the incredible divided mind of so many people. We were playing with the third chakra, and it's a concept, but it's a helpful concept to look into. Third chakra in unconsciousness gives rise to the biggest division. And what is that? Judgment. Anybody does that? Comparison. Anybody compares? Competition. Anybody wants to be better or worse than the others? Blame. Somebody else's fault, how I feel. So it's massive, and it is only one layer within our infinite being that we tend to get so identified with. So in COVID is, either a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer. And the vaxxer is anti-vaxxer. So it's always right, wrong, good, bad, high, low. And is there anything like that in nature? Is there a good in nature? Is there a bad in nature? Is there a division in nature, except in human mind, in human ego? So one lady, she asked, I get so caught up in my judgments, and I just go in the train, and in Japan the trains are usually very full, and I have judgments about everyone. Can you help? And I said, no, there's no need to help. The first step is already fantastic. You see that you have a judgment, so there's an awareness about it. Now, if you want to be religious, then you're in trouble, because religion tells you, don't have judgments. Does it work? No. So what to do with judgments? So I offered them a very, very simple meditation, and I would recommend that each time your or my mind moves into labeling, labeling good or labeling bad, labeling right or labeling wrong. Does your mind do that? My mind does that. It's kind of, it is such a habit that is totally automatic, because the moment we put a label on any situation, we don't see the situation anymore. We see our interpretation of it. So how to deal with that? A very simple meditation. Can anybody give me a kind of juicy judgment? You are, maybe something that came today. Don't be spiritual, just be human.
The black sheep. The black sheep.
You are a black sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that a good judgment or a bad one?
Well, somebody wrote it, and I actually said to them, well, sometimes if you say black sheep, you're making a category. That could actually be a lion. You're just seeing it as black sheep.
Yeah.
So I hope they understood it. But
Very good.
yeah.
Okay, so if the judgment is you're a black sheep, try just to add 2 words. Me too. You're an idiot. Me too. And then you can look if you find idiotic behavior in you. You're so stupid. Me too. You are a liar. Me too. If you honestly investigate with the me too, you will find that you carry your mind, which we think is my personal mind, but it's not. It's the universal egoic mind, has everything that we try to separate from. So next time, your relationship partner tells you who you are, or you tell them who you are, we love that, especially husbands and wives. You never listen. Me neither. Yeah. Don't be so loud. I shouldn't be so loud either. You always add the other side. And what happens is the whole energy that gets kind of fueled into the ego structure, into me, I am right. And of course you are wrong. Well, I'm also wrong, and you're also right. How about that? That cancels a lot of unnecessary psychological pain and trauma and psychological work and a lot of things that we do to justify our judgment. And with the Me Too, we recognize, wait a minute, this is just one aspect of the mind that hides the other aspect, and when we bring it out, it's no big deal. We're all human. We all have everything a human being can ever experience. It's if you really dare to do this, I would suggest do it for a week with every label that you find arising in you. And something happens, because good and bad and right and wrong and high and low and all these opposites suddenly are together. And when they are together, a deeper dimension happens, which we call witnessing or awareness. You see both. You see the right and the wrong. And you see behind the structure. The problem is then you don't have any argument anymore, because you cancel every argument in you. So it's very destructive for the ego. It doesn't, the me, the separate me that is self-righteous and entitled for whatever we are entitled for. I deserve to be treated like this. Well, are you? It means I don't deserve to be treated like that. Well, does existence care whether you deserve it or not? It happens. And the good news here is that we don't need to try and twist our psyche to try and not to judge, because that's not possible. Mind is judgment. Mind is labeling. Mind is interpretation. And there's nothing wrong with it when we see it. It becomes difficult when we identify with it, when we create a sense of self from the separation. Today I talked with a friend, and she was working in, helping somebody to move into politics and, to gain votes, and she was working with a campaign manager. And these two were like cat and mouse. And eventually she had to quit, even though she made a lot of money for that party, because the campaign manager made it very clear, I'm not interested in how you feel, I'm not interested in your opinion, I'm only interested in winning. I think many people have that, in one way or the other. And in politics it's even worse. So what, I don't even want to mention the news in the moment, it's nuts. So what we are here for is kind of, perhaps sometimes it's helpful to use these little tools to open another doorway of the mind so that we can go in, so that we can turn the direction of our attention. That's all what meditation is. Our attention is usually out on objects, no problem. But when we turn in, all our arguments become completely meaningless. And we discover what is closer than the ever-changing scenes of our mind, the ever-changing scenes of our emotions, of our feelings. And when we turn in, a strange thing, for those of you who have done the counseling from the heart or other groups, you may remember. When we turn in, that's where we meet whoever we want to meet outside. If you want to come close to someone, don't go out to the other. Go into yourself. And eventually, behind the layers, my fingers are the layers of the mind, behind the layers is this mystery that everyone talks about. In China it's called the Tao, in Christianity the Christ consciousness, in Buddhism, Buddha nature, or we call it space or the inner sky. There is no thing, no object. And when 0 plus 0, what does mathematics say? 0 plus 0 is 0. That's where we meet. 1 plus 1 is 2. That's where we don't meet. So there's this beautiful saying, better be a 0 than be a hero. It's borrowed from Osho. So when we take the Me Too a little bit further, then something arises that somehow we all long for, and I call it trust. Not the conditional trusts we usually use the word for. Trust of the mind is not really trust. I trust you. I borrow you $10,000 and I trust you. But if you don't pay them back, I don't trust you anymore. That's not trust. So, closer than the expression of the mind, there is a field that gives us an inner state where we recognize that whatever happens, and that's really big, that is blowing you out of your personality structure very quickly. You fall into, or you rise into this vast, expanded presence that holds everything. It's not something we can achieve because we are that. It's not something that we can reach as a goal because we are that. It's not something we can aspire because we are that. At any given moment, we are that which is witnessing whatever is happening. How do we know this? The moment you even listen to your mind and you recognize you have a thought, it's only possible because there's a witnessing consciousness that sees the thought. Right? The moment you say, I feel betrayed, how can you say this? You can say it because there's a witnessing consciousness that is conscious of the feeling and of the words and of the thoughts about it. So what has to be done? What are we doing here in Satsang again and again? Nothing. We just bring a little bit more attention to the field that is aware rather than to the content of awareness. The content can do its thing. It's like we're watching a movie. You watch a movie, you seldom put your attention on the projector of the movie or on the TV screen. We get very involved, but the TV screen stays empty. It's just light and shadow. So as we rest as awareness, we also rest as trust. Does that make any sense? Yeah. So maybe we should go a little bit deeper into trust. I was tuning in today about what could be the topic for today or anything we need to look at specifically. If I watch my own mind about how these politics about COVID are unfolding, I have many different thoughts. No? But also, I have a great trust that whatever happens and whatever is happening is exactly what needs to happen, because otherwise, how can we wake up?
Rahasya, I actually had a question that I brought today, which I can bring up later, but it was exactly on that.
Oh, let's take the question now. Great.
Yeah. It relates to Richard and I still looking for our home. We're looking to buy a home, and we've got to move out of a rental, so the overlap time is coming very close. We still haven't found the home, and my sense has always been that I know the home is there, and I don't think we have to chase to find it. I feel that when we're probably present enough for it to be found, it will be found. And I've just seen somebody now, that various of the spiritual community that we're in touch with, and they're all saying, you're not doing this, or you should be doing, or you should be actively driving around looking, or you should be, there are all these, or today I'm told, you obviously have got too many expectations, things that you're expecting or demanding or whatever. And my thing is, no, things happen when they're due to happen in their own time, and we just need to maintain that knowing or awareness. That's my sense.
Absolutely.
That is totally my sense.
Absolutely, but as long as your friends are caught in their own thoughts, they will have to project their own fear on you. That's okay. That's their job.
Sure. I know because we sell crystals.
Yeah.
So there are people coming in, and I'm beginning to say, well, we're looking for a home, and we may be making the crystal thing, and that. And some people in full presence actually, I've felt in them, they've said trust, and I can feel that they're there. They know what they're saying. For other people, it's a word. Trust.
Yeah.
It's just a word they throw at you.
I know we are living in a fantastic spiritual community, and everybody knows what you should do.
They all know. And, it's interesting because with this person today, anyway, again, she's always said you must drive around and you've got to find the house.
Yeah.
You're not being active enough.
Yeah. That's their fear. Maybe I need to translate a little bit to the friends who are listening online. Selma has just shared that they have to move out of their house, and the time comes closer and they haven't found another house yet. And Selma has this beautiful sense of trust that the right thing will happen. But everybody tells her what she should do. We know that one, don't we? No? And our parents know what we should do, and the boss and the relationship partner, everybody. So this is just basically reflections that may be traces of our own mind. Maybe we think the same thing. Maybe I should do this and this. And there, my map of consciousness gets kind of very valuable to see. The moment we are in a should, in an ideal, we are afraid of the shadow of it. There's a should and a should not. And there is no solution from there, how I should be. The moment I'm emotionally attached, there's no solution. The moment my mind gets busy about right and wrong, there's no solution. The moment we are looking for a different strategy to do things, that's what people tell you, the strategy covers up something that we don't want to see. And eventually, we don't want to rest in not knowing, because that's the worst thing. And
it's a scary place to be.
It is.
But we've all been there.
Absolutely.
I've often been done things in retrospect that I go, oh my God, I was obviously trusting, but I didn't know I was.
Yeah, exactly.
I just jumped.
Yeah. Well, you're very lucky. No? I mean, I had so many situations in my life where I should actually be dead if everything would go according to the plan. But I'm still here. And it doesn't mean I maybe drop dead the next moment. But so far, so good. No? So...
and of course I pressed a button with me, because there's that little bit that's a bit worried.
Yeah.
It's saying
So that's what...
time frames.
Yeah.
And we've got money to buy and all that stuff.
You see, that's the beauty of these people that tell you how you should be, because they find exactly that place within you that is waiting to come home a little deeper. For example, your fear of insecurity. It's there, we all have it. As long as we are in a body-mind, and this body-mind can die, which it will all happen, we have these elements of fear in it. And what these friends are showing you is how much you are identified with the fear, or how much the fear is just another cloud appearing in the empty sky. and you let it come. I said, "Oh, welcome fear, come in." Oh God, I feel my chest is shrinking and everybody is getting tired and everything. Okay, let's experience this. Come in, come in. Oh, it was just a cloud. What is here? And the then that cloud has brought you here. Yeah.
It's exciting as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So when do you have to move out?
4 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
4.
4. 4 more weeks. That is eternity. Very good. So to give it a little bit more, to include our senses into what trust could feel like within a body-mind, Arasoma is just such a beautiful thing. So trust is connected to the throat chakra, to not knowing, to the creative response that can only happen in the moment where the response is needed, not before. No? And the throat, if you look anatomically, you go in and it's empty inside. There's the air pipe, so there's nothing in it. That's the creative source, the nothingness. No? And within the blue, it is basically going beyond beliefs. The moment your friends kind of trigger a fear that has not been totally welcomed, our throat gets constricted, no? And our breath and everything, kind of the whole body-mind is so geared into experiencing survival. God, what's going to happen? You're going to be on the street, and you're going to sit on the street with all your crystals, and and yeah, the mind has incredible inventive thoughts around this. And just when you're caught off guard, like in the middle of the night, you wake up, and then you remember where something is just happening to or in me, in that which is aware. Can that which is aware go anywhere? So let's have a little pomanda. Sapphire blue, can you stand up, make your left palm available? And if you never used it, don't worry about it. It's just a little ritual to tune into a certain frequency. Get 3 drops. You rub it into your palms, and you close your eyes. So it's kind of trust in a bottle, a few drops of trust. Oops. Very good. Then you can raise your arms high above the head and your palms facing outward. So you imagine you can send that blue ray all around the earth, out of your left hand, around the earth, back into the right hand, reminding all beings of their capacity to trust in existence, to be creative out of the moment, to express their truth. It's all in the throat chakra. And then you can hold your palms above your crown, facing downward. Imagine you're standing under a shower of light blue, sapphire blue light. a shower of the empty sky. And then, as we are body-mind, we are also a field of different energies. So as you come closer to the energy field around your head, you can clear and clean your aura. Just bring that light blue vibration. It's also the vibration of peace. Bring it into your aura, around the temples, around the back of the head, around the crown chakra. And then you can bring your palms together above the crown. The symbolic gesture of oneness, of the opposites meeting as complementaries. And here, moving through your third eye, clearing the fog, the curtain in front of your third eye, so that we are moving beyond projections and see reality clearly. And then clearing your face, and as you come to the throat, just allow your fingertips to gently open the curtain of all your beliefs and doubts. And behind the beliefs and doubts, behind the shoulds and should nots, is an open space of creativity, of response, of not knowing. And then you can clear your shoulders and arms. And when you come to the heart, clearing the outer layers that cover the heart very often, like Selma said, the doubt, the shoulds and should nots, what I should do, what I should not do, that is usually covering the heart. And when that curtain opens, just connect with your heart directly, with that innocent openness, with that natural compassion, with that deep capacity to feel, not just with yourself, but also with people around you. And feel perhaps how your heart is responding to this vibration. It's like perhaps suddenly, it's like stepping out into the blue sky and taking a few deep breaths. This is why we like to walk on the beach, the blue sea, the blue sky, the big infinite space. Then moving down to the solar plexus, releasing all these layers of strategies and power trips that cover the joy of just being a unique individual. And then we come to the second chakra, to the lower belly, just opening with the blue any wounds that we may carry from the past, any emotional stuff that we have held. Let it just open up to the wind, to the sky, to the sun, which gives us a capacity to feel again and to merge and melt with whatever we love, and to be alone, going inside, feeling ourselves. And further down to the root center, the first chakra, allowing that blue ray to gently support this physical body. In the moment, it is still supported by the whole existence, supported by life itself, all the way down, connecting with Mother Earth, and letting go, Just letting go whatever you're ready to let go of. Any thoughts, any beliefs, any holdings, any stories. For a moment, give it all back. Just become empty, 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 empty. Until you realize that everything we thought we are can go, and still I am here. Such a mystery. And as you come up, allow that sapphire blue ray to rise inside your body, all the way up. Inner sky, outer sky, completing for a moment with an open gesture. Let your arms be really open. And then you can bring your palms in front of your nostrils and taking 3 deep breaths of this fragrance into the temple of the body. Very good. And then we can sit. There's no. I think it's in the cupboard. Let's take a new one. The emptiness has overcome us directly.
I want to see you light that one.
I wanted to light the light of a candle, and there is no candle. But trust worked. So I want to dedicate the light of the candle today to trust. Mm-hmm.
You need to center it better.
And to the inner sky. That's okay. And trust kind of becomes more interesting when we have overcome obstacles. A little bit of obstacle makes life juicy. Good. Maybe we meditate a little on trust, just sitting silently. And later we continue with the supreme understanding from Tilopa. So just sitting silently, taking a few deep conscious breaths. And in the out-breath, just letting go inside. Bringing your whole attention to the breath for a moment. This phenomenon that keeps us alive all these years through breathing in and breathing out. Most of the time we are not even aware that we are breathing, that the body is breathing. So already there must be a lot of trust that breath happens even if we don't think about it. Just feel your breath moving in and out, and get curious how you experience it, which senses are activated. For sure the feeling sense. You may feel the air entering your lungs, maybe the airflow at your nostrils. You may feel your chest and your belly expanding in the in-breath, and this letting go in the out-breath. And perhaps we already notice as we are just present with the breath, there is a certain silence emerging. It's not that we create the silence, it's the silence is always here. It was just covered by activity and noise. And as we are aware and watching the in-breath and the out-breath, very relaxed and naturally, we can bring our relaxed attention to the heart. Feel your heart. Feel how the heart is quite related to the breath. So we may even get a sense that with each in-breath, the heart is touched from within, expanding. And with each out-breath, we can perhaps have the image that we are falling inside into the center of the heart, so that our perception of the heart becomes like the perception of an opening. So each in-breath, an opening of whatever the experience is in the moment. And each out-breath, a letting go deeper than this experience. Mind didn't know that there is a deeper place. So we are melting naturally with each breath through the known into the unknown. And like this we can melt deeper than thoughts. And thoughts can continue. It's like we are moving deeper into the empty sky, but on the surface there are still thoughts, like clouds. And we melt deeper than feelings and emotions. And we can melt deeper than all the stories that our mind creates. And the stories can continue. It's just that our attention is deeper inside. Where we can melt deeper into the heart, deeper than even body sensations. Body continues very naturally. It knows how to breathe. We are not needed. Even deeper than the breath. And breath continues like waves on the surface of the ocean. deeper than the heartbeat. Deeper into the heart than all experiences. That's such a mystery. Who am I deeper than all experiences that I can label? Obviously, I'm still here. Let's rest here for a while, just sitting silently, very loose, very natural, allowing each out-breath to take you deeper into this mystery. We'll sit for about 15 minutes. Just feel into this silence. Feel how in this space everything falls in place. In this moment, this room is more like a silent lake of consciousness. The ripples of thought and mind have settled a little, for some at least. When we're just here, everything relaxes. So from that depths inside, we can take a deeper breath. Gently becoming more aware of the body again. Maybe just moving it a little, stretching a little. Till we find a good moment to open the eyes to a new moment here. A moment of empty here-ness. And perhaps from this space we can understand beautiful Tilopa a little bit deeper. Tilopa, it has been so wonderfully commented by Osho. The Song of Mahamudra, Tantric teaching. It's my favorite book. So Tilopa says, one should not give or take, but remain natural. For Mahamudra is beyond all acceptance and rejection. Since alaya is not born, no one can obstruct or soil it. Staying in the unborn realm, all appearances will dissolve into dharmata, and self-will and pride will vanish into naught. So that's an interesting verse that Tilopa shares, pointing to that what we just maybe experienced a space in the meditation. One should not give or take, because giving, well, we didn't learn that as children. Most of us learned you should give. And later in life, we also learn we should give and not take. Or some of us learn to take but not give. And we take a lot. The human psyche, the mind, the human personality loves to take. Now he says one should not give or take but remain natural. This brings us into all the ideals we have learned in our education. And it has divided in a way humanity. So there are the takers, the ones that kind of want to be more and more successful, and it's never enough. Whether you're Bill Gates, he also said it's not enough. You can live maybe 1,000 lifetimes with all the money you have, but taking needs to continue. And then perhaps some move into so-called spiritual lives, become, charity workers and give. And Tilopa says, well, maybe there's a place even beyond give and take. One should not give or take, but remain natural, for Mahamudra is beyond all acceptance and rejection. In spiritual circles we learn so much about accept yourself, accept things the way they are. But it seems to be still a dimension of the mind that believes it can accept or reject. So it's a little bit more subtle. But remaining natural means neither giving nor taking, because everything happens automatically. We take each moment, we take an in-breath and we give an out-breath. And in the in and out, beyond the in and out, is the natural state. For Mahamudra is beyond all acceptance and rejection. It points towards that place that we see in nature. In nature, nothing is rejected, nothing is accepted. It is just naturally here. And when we relax into our nature, whatever needs to happen is happening anyway. In our ambitious world, that is actually seen probably as sloppiness or not caring, but that's not what it is. It is a relaxation of the being, so that the body-mind has space to flower in its own unique way. Can you imagine if we would be educated like this in childhood, in school, rather than being pushed into what is right and what is wrong, and the ideas are given from the outside, to discover from within that which wants to express itself. Why do we love alive children so much? Because there's no ego yet, they're just pure life energy expressing itself in so many different ways, remaining natural. And then Tilopa says, since alaya is not born, no one can obstruct or soil it. So the word alaya, as far as I remember, is a Buddhist term that points towards the formless Buddha nature of all things. They call it alaya. And alaya, that which we are truly, was never born, so it cannot be obstructed or it cannot be soiled. Can you imagine what would happen if we would rest as that which is aware? Like Selma, your beautiful story. People tell you what you should be, what you should not be, and you allow it to flow through alaya. Alaya means that which is always aware, that which is just here. That space in which body, mind, and everything comes and goes. And Tilopa obviously has found this. Since alaya is not born, no one can obstruct or soil it. Can you imagine what would happen if humanity as a whole would rest as that space that is aware, that just is? All the nonsense that happens in the world, all the blame, all the ideas of countries, all the ideas of political parties, all the ideas of defending, all the ideas of, now climate change, would fall and create a space for everything in nature to fall back into harmony. That's what happens in nature.
Isn't all of that part of harmony, though? All of the things that we're experiencing now are still part of harmony.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's still part of harmony, seen from that place. Yeah. So that place cannot be, obstructed or soiled. Yeah. And suddenly we can relax. And suddenly something else, I call it more the mystery, something else is just allowing things to be. And that's probably for our selective mind the most challenging, to respond rather than to react. Staying, this is an incredible, but he says, if we let that in, staying in the unborn realm, all appearance will dissolve into dharmata, and self-will and pride will vanish into naught. Staying in the unborn realm. It reminds me in Japan, the famous saying of the Zen master, the famous question of the master to the disciple is, tell me who you are before you were born. That's what he says, staying in the unborn realm. We're still here. Constantly things are born, mind is born, thought are born, feelings are born, emotions are born, stories are born and fall back. And behind it all, within it all, in our depth, is a realm that is unborn. Now, of course, he needs to use words, and then the moment we use words, the words are born. But the words can take us to the unborn. And all appearances will dissolve into dharmata. Dharmata is kind of another Buddhist word for that which is always here, for the truth of that which is always here. And self-will and pride will vanish into naught. So the need for the ego to constantly nourish itself and, will just fall away, and we rest loose and natural. That is, I think, Tilopa's main expression. Be loose and natural, and everything falls in place. And everything that we seem to suffer from it doesn't disappear, but the quality changes. This is kind of the mystery of things. It's impossible actually to talk about it. One should not give or take, but remain natural, for Mahamudra is beyond all acceptance and rejection. This is so beautiful. These are these different levels of evolution. No? We are born completely innocent. We are born as formless. We are born as kind of consciousness taking a new form. No? And then we build up the ego. We build up a sense of self. We become somebody. No? And eventually, when we realize that becoming somebody has been kind of a funny activity that actually created a distance from our true self, then we start searching and go on the return journey back to the source, to the unborn, and realize the unborn was always here, just covered by the born. And we can trust that that space that is called unborn is the source of everything that needs to happen through the body-mind in the right time. For Mahamudra is beyond all acceptance and rejection. So first we create the ego. We create the personality with all its ideals and shoulds and all its strategies and all its identifications. It seems to be kind of that journey of getting lost. In the Bible it's the journey of the lost son. No? So we all get wonderfully lost in identity, in false identity, and then eventually we come back. And if we are lucky enough, we come back as body is still there. Eventually, when we die, we anyway come back. But that I cannot guarantee. I haven't died yet, so I don't know. So since alaya is not born, no one can obstruct or soil it. Steve, no one can obstruct or soil it, since alaya is not born. If we take that into any story where we would kind of want to blame somebody, or we want to make somebody responsible, or where we actually touch an old wound through some meeting, and suddenly we remember, wait a minute, that which is aware of it was never soiled, was never touched. In the moment, in the spiritual circles, there's so much attention to a trauma. What is trauma? It's a conglomeration of thought that created a story, and the story has become real through identification with the story. And forgive me, it's not a ridicule trauma. There's a lot of trauma happening, and there's a lot of trauma being worked with, and there's a lot of trauma being perpetuated through unconsciousness. But the shortcut, or actually the only solution, if we need a solution, the deep healing of trauma is the realization, I am that which is aware. Finished. Is there any trauma in what Tilopa calls alaya? Alaya is not born. No one can obstruct or soil it. No one can hurt it. No? If we get that our innermost core cannot hurt, this is, at least in the Bible, what they try to explain through the virgin birth. That within us that is aware is virgin, it's untouched, it's always here. It's pristine, as clear as the infinite sky. No one can obstruct or soil it. Not all the people that tell you what you should do to find a home. No one can touch the depths of your being. Staying in the unborn realm, all appearance will dissolve into dharmata. This is what the Indians, when the Indians talk about the world, they call it Maya, the illusion. Maybe it's not an illusion, it is just a different dimension of consciousness. So in this few sentences, Tilopa moves through so many different levels of consciousness. Egoic consciousness, and then good and bad consciousness, right and wrong consciousness, and then choiceless consciousness, and I think Tilopa is even beyond that. Nothingness. And in that, self-pride, self-will will vanish into naught, will vanish into no thing. And everything continues without us, without the me. Everything continues wonderfully. And these days in springtime, I'm so fascinated by the happenings. If you just wander around the garden here, it's unbelievable. Every day something new appears. From where? From alaya, from nothingness. From one moment there was just earth, suddenly there's a new flower. It's such a miracle. I mean, what nature teaches us every day, and we miss it. We just think, I have to do it. I have to struggle. I have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. You have to travel around and find a place. You prove them wrong. Yeah. Any comments to this here in the friends that are here?
I would say you were just lucky. That's the way it's when things fall into place for existence, people say, oh, you were just lucky.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, existence showers on all of us.
Yeah. And what is luck? No? Luck is an interpretation of the mind that thinks something good happened. And unluck is the other side of it. No? You're just unlucky you didn't find anything. You're on the street with all your crystals. Steve, anybody? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice question. So, you spoke about judgment in the third chakra. Like for me, judgment comes on quite strong in the base chakra, especially around this time of what's happening in COVID. It's like the fear from the attachment that I have to the way the world should look.
Yeah.
Then gives me quite strong judgment.
Yeah.
And like I'm finding like a challenge to stay within the trust of the unfolding of everything that's happening at the moment. So, everything that you've spoken of tonight, the trust and the judgment are quite like relevant for myself in what's unfolding in everything COVID. So speak into that. I guess it's not a question, like,
Yeah.
just kind of like, speaking of what's alive for me in my awareness. But is that something that you've obviously been watching within your own system around the judgment and the fear and the attachment that we have to the world, the way the world looks currently? And is it a bit of a shadow side of the spirituality group to think that we can control and hold on to how the world should look? And
It's a wonderful arrogance of the ego, no? That we know how it should be, no? And in that,
especially Malam Bimbi.
yeah, especially Mahamudra. Yeah, exactly. And it's so incredible because the division goes specifically in a group of people that should be more aware, no? Because there is so much wonderful spirituality around. So, why am I sitting here and sharing with you guys? It's very selfish. By reminding you, I'm reminding myself. It's the body-mind and its conditioning is kind of a program that is inescapable from that level. No? But if I zoom out a little bit, there is so much interesting stuff to see as content that is absolutely illogical and weird. No? Here the whole world tries to kind of find its solution for... Actually, I didn't want to talk about COVID because everybody talks about COVID, but tries to find a solution. But what is so prevalent in the moment is that in the name of trying to control or overcome this virus, it has created a huge pandemic of mental health problems. So the real pandemic is maybe not the virus, but the whole mental health, the suicides and the depressions and the people and the loneliness and the people, I mean, there is so much stuff happening that the mind would actually want to prevent us from, for example, through the vaccine. So I think, personally, the whole mad situation around, with all the different stories and all the different righteousness or wrongness, is a wonderful, inescapable solution that outside is no solution. Any strategy you want to find to beat this virus still comes from the mind that has created that virus. No? So maybe it is just a story. Maybe what is right here, right now, needs to be like this so that we wake up. That we wake up to a place that is not content-oriented and that is not identity-oriented, because every argument we have for or against is to improve an identity that is not you, that is not me. And that becomes so obvious, and our human nature is so helpless in this situation. No? And the madness that comes out of it and the absurd politics that come out of it, suddenly, history repeats itself. Now it's not the black and the white, now it's the vaxxed and the non-vaxxed. It's the same thing. No? And there are these manifestations of rejection and power trips, that go... You said it so beautifully, it's true. There's all the dimensions. The dimensions are fueled through fear, first chakra, survival, typical survival fear. So we are in survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze. We cannot think clearly anymore. We are just caught in these hormones of survival. And that's an addiction. We're addicted to adrenaline. We're addicted to cortisol. We're addicted to all these hormones, these stress hormones. So more and more stress. Are we real? Are we in this moment threatened? No. We are only threatened by our thoughts about what could happen. And the funny thing is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The survival hormones, they weaken the immune system. So then we can get easier sick. But this whole story, I mean, to be honest, I have no idea why and how, but I can see that it can be an incredible possibility for humanity, because nothing works that is produced by the mind. Now everybody is vaxxed against a virus that has mutated so much that there's only 30% functioning vaccine, and who knows what else happens. I don't know. I don't know.
You know, and Rahasya, a lot of people got tremendous benefit out of the lockdown time, because everybody I spoke to that came in after that 6 or 7 weeks last year, there wasn't one person that whinged. That, you know, which was amazing. They all had wonderful stories of going and walking in the forest, and spending time with family and starting hobbies they hadn't done, or, you know, and things like that. It was quite extraordinary. And people came in who were awakening, who were so finely tuned that it was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
They were coming in buying crystals, and I could feel vibrationally that they were very finely tuned.
Yeah.
And very positive.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's happening. No? It can be, who knows, you know, when the peak of misery, maybe we're already over it, I don't know. But all I can say is find ways to remind yourself. For example, sharing that space with your friends rather than the story could be very helpful. You know, take a walk with your friend in a garden and be in awe. See what is actually here rather than what your mind creates. So create a little meditation group. Invite your friends to sit silently. You don't need to put white clothes on. You don't need to, you know, whatever. Or if you like Buddhism, you can put an orange robe on. Steve showed me a photo of him today with a Buddhist robe, and you looked really very, you know, very spiritual. No? So anything works, but remind yourself. Find your own ways to remind yourself, and then it becomes, you know, it reminds me of in one of the discourses, Osho got asked, you know, as I told this a few times in Satsang, he got asked, you know, dear Osho, like, I have 2 or 3 days in a year where I feel relaxed and in peace and open, and the rest my mind drives me crazy. Can you help? And Osho said, 2 or 3 days? So much in a year? Forget all the rest of the year, put all your energy into the remembering. Then it gets more. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Tilupa. And thank you, Osho. And thank you, everyone around the world. Find your own ways. Share this. Namaste.